Darkness had rules. In the deepest black, most men went blind, fumbling, panicking, breaking. But Richard B. Riddick wasn't most men. Where others saw nothing, his eyes drank in the absence of light, like a Furian predator savoring blood. The crystalline silver of his eyeshine reflected off obsidian walls, turning the lightless cell into his hunting ground. And after 3 months in the Sith prison beneath Exegol's surface, Riddick had learned every inch of his cage. The prison had no official name. It didn't need one. Built into the bedrock of the ancient Sith world, beneath storm-racked skies and the hidden shipyards of the Final Order, it was designed to contain Force sensitives who proved problematic. Jedi survivors who refused reconditioning, rogue inquisitors, failed Sith experiments. The architects had relied on one simple principle: total sensory deprivation, no light, no sound beyond what prisoners made themselves. Just endless darkness and the oppressive weight of the dark side saturating every molecule of air. They hadn't counted on a prisoner who was born in the dark. Riddick pressed his palm against the cell's energy barrier, feeling the hum of power cycling through it. A Salamiri-based technology, he'd deduced. Creatures that created force null bubbles repurposed into prison architecture. The Sith eternal cultists were thorough, he'd give them that. But thorough wasn't the same as smart. They'd put him in solitary, cut off from other prisoners, no interrogations, no forced labor, just isolation meant to break his mind. Instead, they'd given him time to think, to plan, to listen. The footsteps came every 18 hours, 2 guards judging by the rhythm. They moved with military precision, checking cells in sequence. Cell block Arek had 47 prisoners. Riddick was number 33. That meant when the guards reached his door, they'd already checked 32 others. Tired, complacent, predictable. He heard them now, boots echoing off stone 200 meters distant. Riddick moved to the corner of his cell, settling into absolute stillness. His breathing slowed, heartbeat dropped. Furian physiology could mimic death if needed, and right now he needed the guards to think something was very wrong. The energy barrier flickered down. Red emergency lighting flooded the corridor, dim enough to preserve the guards' night vision equipment, bright enough to blind anyone who'd spent months in total darkness. Except Riddick's eyes adjusted instantly, pupils contracting as 2 figures in dark robes stepped through. Prisoner 33, respond to... Riddick moved. His shiv, painstakingly crafted from a piece of his own cell's durasteel frame, sharpened against stone for weeks, punched through the first guard's throat before the cultist finished his sentence. The second guard managed to raise his blaster, but Riddick was already inside his reach. He caught the weapon, redirected it, and felt the searing heat of a blaster bolt burn past his ribs as he snapped the guard's wrist. The cultist tried to scream. Riddick's hand closed over his mouth and jaw, fingers digging into pressure points that dropped the man unconscious in 3 seconds. Blood ran hot down Riddick's side. The bolt had grazed him, but the wound was superficial. He stripped the first corpse of its robes, combat knife, and access cylinder. The second guard provided a blaster pistol and a curious device that looked like a handheld datapad. Riddick activated it. Sith script glowed amber across the screen. Incomprehensible but functional. He pocketed it. The corridor stretched in both directions, lined with 46 other cells. Riddick could free them, create chaos, use the other prisoners as distractions. But chaos was sloppy, and sloppy got you killed. He moved left, toward the guard station he'd memorized from sound alone. Exegol's prison followed a hub-and-spoke design. 5 cell blocks radiating from a central security nexus. Beyond that, a vertical shaft leading up to the planet's surface. Riddick had heard the lifts cycling, the hiss of atmospheric doors, the muffled thunder of storms above. He knew the way out existed, he just had to reach it. The Nexus chamber erupted into red alert the moment he entered. Klaxons shrieked, emergency lighting pulsed. 3 more guards scrambled from their stations, drawing electrostaffs crackling with energy. Riddick didn't slow down. He threw the combat knife, caught the first guard in the eye socket, and closed distance before the body hit the floor. The electrostaff whipped toward his head. He ducked, felt the air ionize above him, and drove his shoulder into the guard's sternum, hard enough to crack ribs. The 3rd guard tried to flank him. Riddick spun, caught the electrostaff mid-swing, and used the guard's own momentum to drive the weapon into his chest. Electricity arced through the cultist's body. He convulsed and dropped. Silence, except for the Klaxons. Riddick moved to the security console. The interface was alien, geometric patterns and symbols that meant nothing to him. He slammed his fist into it. Sparks flew. The console went dark, but more importantly, every cell door in the facility disengaged simultaneously. Now he had his chaos. Prisoners poured into the corridors, human, alien, things that might have been human once. Some ran, some attacked each other. Most simply screamed, blinded by the emergency lights after months in total darkness. Riddick left them to it and sprinted for the lift shaft. 2 more guards blocked his path. He shot them both without breaking stride, their bodies crumpling as blaster bolts burned through their chests. The lift doors stood open, revealing a maglev platform descending into deeper darkness. Riddick stepped on, found the controls, and sent the platform rocketing upward. The shaft was a kilometer deep. He counted the seconds as he ascended, watching levels flash by. Sub-level 8, sub-level 5, sub-level 2. Each floor teemed with Sith architecture, statues of long-dead Dark Lords, corridors carved with ancient symbols, meditation chambers radiating malevolence. The dark side was thick here, a psychic pressure that would have driven most beings insane. Riddick felt it like a distant whisper. Fury on biology filtered it out the same way his liver filtered toxins. The lift stopped at ground level. The doors opened onto a garrison chamber where 30 Sith eternal cultists were suiting up in response to the prison break. They turned as one, red eyes glowing beneath their hoods. Riddick threw a thermal detonator, stolen from the guard station, into their center and dove back into the lift shaft. The explosion turned the garrison into a fireball. Shrapnel pinged off the maglev platform as Riddick punched the emergency ascent override. The shaft continued upward, punching through Exegol's bedrock and into the citadel proper. When the doors opened again, Riddick stepped out into a nightmare. The Sith citadel stretched before him like a cathedral built by madmen. Obsidian spires clawed at storm-choked skies. Lightning, not natural, never natural on Exegol, arced between towers, feeding arcane machinery. The air tasted of ozone and ash. In the distance, massive construction frames held the skeletal forms of star destroyers in various stages of completion, thousands of them. The final order, preparing to emerge from hiding and conquer the galaxy. Riddick had escaped prisons before, slammed crematoria hellholes across a dozen systems, but he'd never escaped into something worse than the cell. Thunder rolled overhead. Red lightning illuminated robed figures moving through the citadel's shadows. Hundreds of them, perhaps thousands. The Sith eternal, cultists who'd waited generations for their master's return. And somewhere in this fortress of madness, the Emperor himself waited, resurrected through dark science and Sith alchemy. Riddick checked his stolen blaster, half charge remaining. He had one knife, robes that wouldn't fool anyone up close, and the mysterious datapad. Against an army of fanatics and the most powerful Sith Lord in galactic history, he'd faced worse odds, barely. A patrol of 6 cultists rounded the corner 50 meters ahead, moving with purpose toward the prison entrance. Riddick melted into the shadows between 2 obsidian pillars, his dark, adapted eyes tracking their movement. They passed within 3 meters, oblivious. When the last one cleared his position, Riddick slipped out and moved deeper into the citadel. If you want to see more characters enter the Star Wars galaxy, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character you'd want to see in the comments below. May the Force be with you. The Citadel's interior was a maze of corridors and chambers, each more oppressive than the last. Riddick navigated by instinct, staying away from main thoroughfares, avoiding clusters of cultists, moving like a ghost through a tomb. His Furian senses tingled, danger close, always close. But something else tugged at his awareness, a presence, not the diffuse malevolence of the dark side, but something focused, deliberate, watching. He found a balcony overlooking one of the construction bays and stopped to assess. Below, thousands of workers, human and alien slaves, crawled over Star Destroyer hulls like insects on corpses. Sith troopers in crimson armor supervised the labor. Beyond them, TIE daggers sat in neat rows, sleek and deadly. The Final Order wasn't just an army. It was an extinction-level threat waiting to be unleashed. And Riddick had just rung every alarm in their most secure facility. Footsteps, dozens of them, converging from multiple directions. Riddick turned to find exits blocked by Sith acolytes, younger cultists wearing dark armor instead of robes, carrying lightsabers that ignited with crimson fury. 8 of them, spreading out, encircling. The lead acolyte stepped forward, his face hidden behind an ornate mask. "The escaped prisoner, you've caused considerable disruption." His voice was cold, measured. "Lord Sidious has expressed an interest." Riddick's hand tightened on his blaster. "Tell your lord he can express it up close." "As you wish." The acolytes attacked as one. Lightsabers carved through the air, leaving trails of red light. Riddick moved on pure combat instinct, ducking, weaving, using the balcony's pillars as cover. He fired 3 shots. 2 acolytes dropped, lightsabers extinguished as blaster bolts punched through their chests. The 3rd bolt deflected off a blade, ricocheting into the ceiling. Close quarters. His element. Riddick discarded the blaster and drew his knife. An acolyte lunged. Riddick sidestepped, grabbed the cultist's wrist, and drove his blade under the ribcage. The acolyte gasped. Riddick shoved him into another attacker, tangling them both. A lightsaber came from his left. He twisted, felt the heat sear past his shoulder, and delivered a kick that sent the acolyte tumbling over the balcony's edge. The scream lasted 3 seconds before ending in a wet crunch. 5 left. They attacked with less coordination now, angry instead of disciplined. Riddick used it. He caught one lightsaber thrust, redirecting it into another acolyte's leg. Bone and flesh sizzled. The wounded cultist collapsed. Riddick stomped on his throat and took his lightsaber, not to wield it, but to throw. The blade spun end over end, decapitating another acolyte before embedding itself in the wall. 2 acolytes flanked him simultaneously. Riddick dropped low, sweeping one's legs while driving his knife into the other's gut. They both went down. He finished them with quick, brutal efficiency. The last acolyte stood 10 meters away, lightsaber trembling. What? What are you?" Riddick wiped blood from his blade. "Wrong guy to lock in the dark." He started walking. The acolyte fled. Riddick continued deeper into the citadel, leaving a trail of bodies behind him. Alarms screamed. Red emergency lighting painted everything in shades of blood. He needed a ship, needed off this rock before the entire Sith Eternal descended on him. But Exegol was a fortress world, and every hangar would be locked down by now, unless he went to the one place they wouldn't expect, the throne room. The path to Exegol's throne room led through the Citadel's ancient heart, corridors carved from stone that predated the Sith Eternal, perhaps predated the modern Sith Order entirely. Riddick moved through shadows that seemed to writhe with malevolent intelligence, his eyes shine cutting through darkness that would have swallowed normal vision whole. The air grew colder with each step, heavy with the accumulated evil of centuries. He encountered more patrols, 6 cultists in a meditation chamber, dead in 30 seconds. 4 Sith troopers guarding a sealed vault, their crimson armor no protection against close-quarters brutality. A pair of interrogator droids hovering near a torture chamber. Riddick tore them apart with his bare hands, servos screaming as fury and strength ripped through durasteel plating. Each kill was silent, efficient, invisible to the larger chaos consuming the fortress. The prison break had achieved exactly what Riddick intended. Every security feed showed escaped prisoners rampaging through lower levels, fighting guards dying in droves as Sith troopers executed them methodically. The Sith Eternal's attention focused downward towards the containment breach. They were hunting ghosts in the depths, while the real threat climbed toward the summit. Riddick found a service corridor leading to the Citadel's upper spires and followed it. His stolen datapad pulsed occasionally, Sith script scrolling across its surface in patterns that almost resembled words. He couldn't read it, but the device seemed to react to his proximity to certain areas, growing warmer near secured doors, cooler near dead ends. Some kind of security access tool, useful. The corridor terminated at a massive door carved with Sith hieroglyphs. Riddick pressed the datapad against a reader panel. The door groaned, ancient mechanisms grinding to life, and split open to reveal a hangar bay unlike anything he'd seen. 20 Sith infiltrator ships sat in perfect rows, sleek, black, angular craft designed for stealth and atmospheric penetration. Each one bore the Imperial crest and dark side corrupted kyber crystals embedded in their hulls. Beyond them, a single larger vessel dominated the space, a Lambda-class shuttle, its wings folded, its boarding ramp extended as if waiting for royalty, or bait. Riddick's danger sense flared. Too convenient, too open. He scanned the hangar's shadows, eyes picking out heat signatures hiding behind support columns and maintenance equipment. 30 contacts, maybe 40. All waiting, all watching. Impressive, the voice echoed from everywhere and nowhere, ancient and commanding. You've killed 47 of my Eternal and ascended from the deepest cell without detection. Your species is unknown to my archives. Your connection to the Force, negligible. yet you move through darkness as if born to it. Emperor Palpatine materialized at the hangar's far end, suspended in a mechanical framework that kept his resurrected body functional. His face was ruined, flesh barely clinging to bone, eyes sunken and milky, but those eyes burned with intelligence and hunger that transcended physical decay. Behind him, 10 royal guards stood motionless, force pikes crackling with energy. Riddick's hand drifted to his knife. "You, the warden of this shithole. I am Darth Sidious, Emperor, Master of the Sith Eternal, Architect of the Final Order that will soon remake the galaxy." Palpatine's mechanical chair glided forward, servos whirring. "And you are a fascinating anomaly, a predator who hunts in absolute darkness, a survivor who thrives where others break. Tell me, creature, do you know why I allowed you to reach this far?" Allowed, Riddick's voice carried edge. 47 dead say different. Acolytes, expendable. This facility processes thousands of prisoners each cycle. The weak are culled, the strong are evaluated. The Emperor's smile revealed teeth stained black with corruption. You, however, exceed all parameters. Enhanced physiology, perfect dark adaptation, combat instincts bordering on precognitive. You possess qualities the Sith Eternal requires for its most dangerous operations. Understanding crystallized in Riddick's mind. The isolation, the sensory deprivation cell, the relatively light security despite being in the galaxy's most fortified location. They weren't trying to break him, they were testing him. "You're recruiting," Riddick said flatly. "I am offering opportunity. Join my Eternal. Lead strike forces into the deepest reaches of enemy territory. Hunt force sensitives who flee my rise. Become the darkness that my enemies fear in their final moments." Palpatine's fingers twitched, and the hangar's shadows seemed to deepen. "In exchange, you will have wealth beyond measure, power, freedom to pursue your hunts across a conquered galaxy. All I require is loyalty." "Not interested? You misunderstand. This is not negotiation." The Emperor's voice hardened. "You will serve, willingly through enlightened self-interest, or unwillingly, through Sith alchemy that will burn your consciousness away and leave only the predator. Either outcome suits my purposes." The royal guards moved forward, force pikes leveled. The hidden contacts in the hangar's shadows emerged. More Sith troopers, acolytes with lightsabers, even a pair of hulking war droids. 50 combatants minimum. Riddick was surrounded, outgunned, and facing a Sith Lord who'd survived death itself. Most people would have surrendered. Riddick wasn't most people. He threw the knife, not at Palpatine, but at the nearest hangar control panel. The blade punched through circuits and emergency lighting died. Total darkness swallowed the hangar. Shouts erupted. Blaster fire illuminated chaos in strobing flashes. But in the dark, Riddick was king. He moved like liquid shadow, his eyeshine turning absolute blackness into tactical advantage. A Sith trooper fired where Riddick had been. Riddick was behind him, snapping his neck, taking his rifle. 3-round burst dropped 2 more troopers. An acolyte's lightsaber ignited, crimson glow painting his face in target profile. Riddick shot him through the forehead. "Impressive." Palpatine's voice drifted through darkness, amused rather than concerned. But futile. Lightning erupted from the Emperor's fingertips, not directed at Riddick, but at the hangar's emergency generators. Power surged back online, harsh white light flooding every corner. Riddick dove behind an infiltrator ship, as blaster bolts saturated his last position. Durasteel screamed under sustained fire. A royal guard vaulted over the ship's wing, force pike crackling. Riddick caught the weapon's shaft, ignored the electricity coursing through his body, and used the guard's momentum to slam him into the ship's landing gear. Bone crunched. The pike clattered free. Riddick grabbed it and hurled it like a javelin into an advancing trooper's chest. "You cannot escape." Palpatine glided closer, mechanical chair hovering. "Every exit is sealed. Every ship disabled. This hangar is your tomb unless you submit." Riddick sprinted across open deck toward a maintenance access hatch. Blaster bolts chased him, one catching his leg, spinning him mid-stride. He hit the deck rolling, came up firing the trooper rifle, and dropped 3 more Eternals before the power pack depleted. The hatch was 10 meters away. Might as well be 10 clicks. More guards closed in, moving with practiced coordination. Riddick shifted tactics, stopped running from the fight, and ran into it. He caught a force pike thrust, broke the guard's wrist, took the weapon, and used it to decapitate an acolyte mid-swing. Another guard attacked from his blind spot. Riddick felt rather than saw the strike, his fury and danger sense screaming warning. He ducked, drove the force pike into the guard's gut, and triggered maximum discharge. The body convulsed and dropped. 8 Eternals dead in 30 seconds. But more kept coming, a lightsaber carved toward his head. Riddick grabbed the acolyte's arm, twisted until something snapped, and took the weapon. He didn't activate it, didn't know how, didn't care. Instead, he threw the hilt like a club into another attacker's face, then closed distance and delivered a knee strike that shattered the fallen acolyte's sternum. "Magnificent," Palpatine breathed. "Such economy of violence, such perfect lethality. You are wasted as a mere survivor, creature. Under my guidance, you could become death incarnate." "Pass." Riddick grabbed a fallen blaster and fired at the Emperor. The bolt deflected off invisible force energy, ricocheting harmlessly into the ceiling. Palpatine's eyes flared. Enough games. The Emperor raised both hands, and Riddick felt invisible pressure crush his chest. The Force. He'd seen recordings of Jedi and Sith during his imprisonment, security footage showing Force sensitives moving objects, choking enemies, throwing lightning. But experiencing it was different. His ribs creaked. Blood vessels burst in his eyes. Fury and physiology resisted, but physics was physics. He couldn't breathe. "I could crush your heart," Palpatine hissed. "Pulverize every bone, liquefy your organs." But where is the artistry in that? The pressure increased. Submit, serve, or die screaming like so many before you. Riddick's vision tunneled. Darkness crept in. Not the comfortable darkness he commanded, but the darkness of oxygen deprivation. His fury and biology fought the Force's grip, healing damage as fast as it occurred, but it was a losing battle. In 30 seconds, he'd lose consciousness. In 60, brain death. He had one play left. Riddick stopped fighting the Force grip, and instead reached into his stolen robes, fingers closing around the thermal detonator he'd kept since the prison break. His thumb found the activation stud. Click. The detonator's timer appeared on its display. 5 seconds. Riddick locked eyes with Palpatine and smiled. Blood ran from his nose, his ears. But the smile was genuine. "See you in hell." The Emperor's eyes widened fractionally, the first real emotion besides amusement Riddick had seen. The Force grip released instantly. Riddick gasped air, hurled the detonator toward Palpatine, and sprinted for the nearest infiltrator ship. The thermal detonator detonated 2 seconds later. The explosion vaporized 6 Eternals, sent shrapnel through a dozen more, and, most importantly, created a pressure wave that knocked Palpatine's mechanical chair sideways. The Emperor caught himself with the Force hovering in midair, but his concentration broke. Hangar shields flickered. Emergency bulkheads tried to seal, but jammed on debris. Riddick reached the infiltrator, slapped the boarding ramp controls, and dove inside as blaster fire peppered the hull. The ship's interior was all black surfaces and red accent lighting. Cockpit forward, minimal crew space aft. He threw himself into the pilot seat. The controls were incomprehensible. Touch panels covered in Sith script, holographic displays showing ship schematics, systems he couldn't identify. Riddick's hands moved over the interface, pressing anything that looked like a primary control. Engines roared to life. The ship lurched upward, magnetic locks disengaging. "You will not leave this world alive," Palpatine's voice thundered through the hangar, amplified by the Force itself. Lightning arced from the Emperor's fingers, not at Riddick, but at the hangar's main doors. Massive blast shields began grinding shut, 30 meters of durasteel designed to withstand orbital bombardment. The gap narrowed, 20 meters, 15. Riddick punched what he hoped was the throttle. The infiltrator shot forward, engines screaming, tearing through the closing gap with meters to spare. Metal screeched against the ship's shields. Alarms shrieked. Then they were through, bursting into Exegol's storm-racked atmosphere. Red lightning split the sky. Thunder rolled like artillery fire. The citadel fell away below, obsidian spires vanishing into clouds, the color of infected wounds. Riddick wrestled with controls, trying to stabilize the ship as hurricane force winds battered the hull. The infiltrator corkscrewed, dropped 500 meters, then caught air and climbed. Sensors, he could at least recognize those, showed pursuit. 12 TIE daggers launching from secondary hangars, more climbing from the Star Destroyer construction bays, and something else, larger contacts. Sith interceptors maybe, or worse. The comm crackled with static, then resolved into Palpatine's voice. "You have made a grave error. The Sith Eternal spans this galaxy. There is nowhere you can hide that my eyes will not find you. No shadow deep enough to conceal you from my wrath." Riddick found what looked like a weapons control and fired blindly. Laser cannons lanced out, missing the TIE daggers but forcing them to scatter. He banked hard right, dove toward a canyon system cutting through Exegol's surface, and pushed the infiltrator's engines past safety limits. The ship screamed. Metal stressed, but it held. TIE daggers followed him into the canyons, their superior maneuverability allowing them to match his turns. Laser fire scorched the infiltrator's shields. Riddick jinked left, right, up, pure instinct replacing piloting skill. A TIE dagger misjudged a turn and pancaked against canyon wall, exploding in a fireball. Another got too close and clipped the infiltrator's wing. Both ships cartwheeled out of control. The TIE dagger crashed. The infiltrator recovered, 10 contacts remaining. Riddick needed atmosphere, needed space, needed anywhere but this nightmare planet. He found a control cluster that looked promising and pressed everything simultaneously. The infiltrator's nose pitched up, engines burning maximum thrust, climbing toward Exegol's upper atmosphere. G-forces crushed him into the seat. Blood ran from his nose again. Fury on biology compensated, preventing blackout, but just barely. The sky changed from red to purple to black. Stars appeared, cold, distant, indifferent. Riddick broke atmosphere with 6 TIE daggers still in pursuit. Space opened before him, vast and empty, and filled with star destroyers, hundreds of them, Ziston-class ships bristling with weapons, each one mounting a planet-killing axial superlaser. The Final Order fleet, still under construction, but already the largest armada the galaxy had ever seen. They hung in perfect formation, waiting for the Emperor's command to emerge from hiding and bring order through annihilation. Riddick was flying through the middle of them. Proximity alarms screamed. The Star Destroyers weren't moving yet, but their automated defense grids tracked his ship. Turbo laser batteries swiveled, TIE daggers closed from behind. He was caught between the fleet and his pursuers, surrounded by enough firepower to glass planets. He did the only thing that made sense: punch it. The infiltrator dove between 2 Star Destroyers, using their mass to shield him from the TIE daggers. Laser fire meant for him struck one destroyer's shields. The massive ship's point defense cannons activated, targeting the TIE daggers as threats. Chaos erupted. Friendly fire between Final Order ships as automated systems struggled to identify friend from foe in the confusion. Riddick flew like his life depended on it, because it did. Barrel rolls between destroyer hulls, inverted dives under construction frames, a flat spin through a debris field that shredded 2 more TIE daggers. The remaining 4 broke off pursuit, either destroyed or unable to follow through the suicidal course he'd plotted. Clear space appeared ahead, the edge of Exegol's shipyard grid. Beyond it, open void and the unknown region's tangled hyperspace lanes. Riddick found what he hoped was the nav computer and started punching coordinates at random. Anywhere, everywhere, anywhere but here. The nav computer rejected his inputs. Coordinates scrambled, safety protocols engaged. Right. Stolen ship, encrypted systems, probably locked to Sith eternal security codes. He was flying a prison with engines. Something slammed into the infiltrator's aft shields. Riddick checked sensors and felt his gut tighten. A Sith interceptor, sleeker than TIE daggers, faster, heavier armed. And it wasn't alone. 3 more appeared on sensors, closing fast. The lead interceptor's pilot spoke over an open channel, voice distorted through a helmet. Prisoner 33, power down and prepare for boarding. The Emperor wishes to reconsider his offer personally. Riddick's answer was a full weapon spread. Laser cannons and missiles saturated the space behind him. One interceptor exploded, the other scattered, shields flaring. The infiltrator shuddered under return fire, shields at 40%, 30%. He needed a jump to hyperspace, needed it now, but the nav computer remained locked, unless he bypassed it entirely. Riddick crawled out of the pilot's seat, leaving the ship on autopilot, and tore open an access panel beneath the cockpit floor. Wiring and circuit boards met his eyes. Incomprehensible alien technology. He started ripping components free, stripping wires, bridging circuits at random. Sparks flew. The ship's interior lighting flickered. Something important probably just broke. The engines whined, pitch changing. The hyperdrive spooled up, unauthorized, uncontrolled, coordinates unknown. Riddick didn't care. He slammed back into the pilot seat and pulled the hyperspace lever. The stars stretched. Exegol vanished. The infiltrator lurched into hyperspace with no destination, no flight plan, no idea where it would emerge. But it was away from the prison, away from the Emperor, away from the Citadel and its nightmares. Riddick slumped in the seat, breathing hard, and let Furion healing factors work on his injuries. Burns from the blaster bolt, cracked ribs from Palpatine's Force grip, electrical damage from the Force pike. Nothing fatal, nothing permanent, just pain, and pain was information. The datapad he'd stolen vibrated. Riddick pulled it from his robes and watched Sith script scroll across its surface. Couldn't read it, but the device was tracking something. Coordinates, maybe, or a homing beacon. He crushed it under his boot. The hyperspace tunnel stretched before him, blue-white and infinite. Behind him, Exegol and the Sith Eternal were hunting. Ahead, a galaxy at war. Resistance versus First Order, light versus dark, chaos versus tyranny. And somewhere in that galaxy, Riddick would find a corner dark enough to disappear into. He'd escaped Butcher Bay, escaped Crematoria, escaped the Necromonger Armada. The Sith Eternal was just another slam, and Riddick had never met a slam he couldn't break. The infiltrator dropped out of hyperspace above a world Riddick didn't recognize. Sensors showed a temperate planet, blue-green oceans, scattered land masses, atmospheric composition compatible with human life. More importantly, no Imperial presence, no First Order patrols, no massive fleets waiting to blast him into particles. Just quiet space and a planet that looked almost peaceful. Riddick checked the ship's fuel reserves. Critically low, the uncontrolled hyperspace jump had burned through most of the reactor's reserves, and the damage he'd inflicted on the nav computer was causing system-wide inefficiencies. He had maybe one more jump in this ship, 2 if he pushed it. After that, the infiltrator would be a very expensive coffin. He needed to refuel, repair, and figure out where the hell he was. The planet's orbit showed debris, old satellites, derelict ships, the remains of space stations that had seen better centuries. Riddick guided the infiltrator toward the largest concentration, a graveyard of vessels clustering near a moon. As he approached, details resolved. Republic-era cruisers gutted by time and vacuum, separatist frigates with their hulls torn open, even older ships, designs he didn't recognize, some sleek and elegant, others brutal and industrial, a scavenger's paradise or a smuggler's hideout. He detected power signatures from 3 ships that still had functional reactors, life signs aboard 2 of them. Riddick targeted the 3rd, a Corellian freighter showing no biologicals but active systems and matched velocity. The infiltrator's magnetic grapples locked onto the freighter's hull with metallic clanks. Time to requisition supplies. The boarding tube extended, creating a pressurized seal. Riddick grabbed what remained of his weapons, a single blaster pistol, his combat knife, and a force pike he'd taken from the hangar battle, and cycled the airlock. The freighter's interior was dark, emergency lighting casting everything in red shadows. Perfect. His eyes adjusted instantly, silver pupils reflecting the dim glow. The ship was a YT series model, common as dirt across the galaxy. Cargo hold stripped bare, bridge showing signs of hasty abandonment, personal effects scattered, data pads left on consoles, a half-eaten meal rotting in the galley. Whoever owned this ship had left in a hurry months ago, maybe years. Riddick found the engineering section and started stripping parts, hyperdrive components, power couplings, fuel cells still carrying charge. He worked methodically, his enhanced strength allowing him to tear through deck plating and bulkheads that would have required plasma cutters. Within an hour, he'd accumulated enough hardware to jury-rig repairs on the infiltrator. Then he heard the voices, telling you the signature Sith tech has to be. A woman's voice, young, carrying edge. Nobody flies that configuration unless they're eternal or stupid. Maybe both. A man this time, older, cautious. Either way, we're not equipped for a fight. Scan and avoid. Riddick moved to a viewport. 2 ships approached the debris field, a battered CR-90 Corvette and a smaller vessel that looked like a modified U-wing. They weren't flying first-order colors or Sith markings, independent operators then. Scavengers or smugglers checking the graveyard for salvage, and they'd detected his infiltrator. The Corvette's weapons powered up. Turbo lasers tracked toward Riddick's position. The U-wing peeled off, circling to flank. They thought he was Sith Eternal, which meant they thought he was the enemy. Riddick considered his options. He could run. The infiltrator still had engines, maybe enough fuel to limp to the planet below. But running branded him as hostile, and word would spread. The Sith Eternal would track rumors, follow leads, and eventually find him. Or he could talk. Convince these scavengers he wasn't what they thought. He activated the infiltrator's comm, hoping the translation protocols worked. Static crackled, then his voice transmitted. "This is the pilot of the Sith vessel. I'm not eternal. Stole this ship off Exegol 3 days ago, not looking for trouble." Silence, then laughter, sharp, disbelieving. The woman's voice returned. "You stole a ship from Exegol, the most secure world in the unknown regions, home of the resurrected Emperor and his death fleet." "Sure, and I'm secretly a Jedi Master. Believe what you want, but if I was eternal, you'd already be dead." Riddick let that sink in. "I need supplies and coordinates. You need to not have a fight today. We can both get what we want." More silence. Riddick watched the Corvette's weapons, waiting to see if they'd fire or listen. The turbo lasers remained locked but didn't discharge. Progress. The man's voice came through, measured. "If you're not eternal, prove it. Power down weapons. Let us board and inspect." "Not happening. Then we have a problem." Riddick's danger sense flared, not from the Corvette, but from the planet below. His eyes caught it, energy signatures spiking across the northern continent, massive power draws, weapons charging. A moment later, sensors confirmed it. Planetary defense cannons, ancient but functional, swiveling toward orbit, toward the debris field, toward all of them. "You seeing this?" the woman said, tension replacing mockery. The man cursed. "Automated defenses must have triggered when we entered the graveyard." 8 cannons locked on. Riddick counted 3 seconds before they fired. "Recommend we discuss this somewhere else." "Agreed. Follow us planetside. Hangar bay coordinates transmitting now. Try anything and we blow you out of the sky." The Corvette and U-wing broke orbit, diving toward atmosphere. Riddick punched engines and followed. The planetary cannons fired, massive turbo laser bolts that vaporized 2 derelict ships, and kept tracking. He jinked right as a bolt passed close enough to scorch shields. The infiltrator shuddered, but held. Atmosphere rushed up fast, clouds the color of clean water, continents green and brown. The Corvette led him toward a mountain range bisected by valleys. Hidden among the peaks, Riddick spotted structures, not natural formations, but ancient installations built into the rock face. Hangar doors ground open, revealing cavernous spaces. The Corvette disappeared inside. The U-wing followed. Riddick brought the infiltrator in third. landing gear deploying as he set down on metal deck plating, the hangar doors sealed behind him, atmosphere pressurized, lights activated, harsh white illumination flooding the space. Riddick remained in the cockpit, watching through the viewport as figures emerged from the Corvette. 6 people, mixed species, humans, Twi'leks, 1 Rhodian, armed but not in military formation. Scavengers, definitely. The woman who'd spoken stepped forward, human, mid-20s, wearing mismatched armor and carrying a blaster rifle like she knew how to use it. Her face was all hard angles and suspicion. Behind her, an older human male with cybernetic arm and calculating eyes. The crew leader, Riddick guessed. The woman's voice amplified through external speakers. Power down and exit the ship, slowly, hands visible. Riddick complied, cycling the boarding ramp and descending. His hands stayed at his sides, empty but ready. As he stepped into the light, the crew got their first good look at him. The woman's rifle twitched. "What are you?" "Complicated question." Riddick's eyes reflected the hangar lights, silver shine unmistakable. Several crew members stepped back. "Name's Riddick. Like I said, stole this ship off Exegol. Been running since." The older man studied him with professional interest. "No one steals from Exegol. Place is a fortress. Was inside the fortress. Prison break gave me opportunity." Riddick gestured at the infiltrator. "Needed transport. This was available." "You were a prisoner?" The woman lowered her rifle fractionally. "Of the Sith Eternal? 3 months? Sensory deprivation cell. They wanted to recruit me, turn me into some kind of dark side assassin. I declined, violently." The crew exchanged glances. The older man's cybernetic fingers tapped a rhythm against his thigh. Nervous tick or signal. Riddick couldn't tell. "You expect us to believe the Emperor tried recruiting you, failed, and just let you walk away with one of his stealth ships?" "Didn't let me. I fought through his citadel, killed 40-some Eternals, and stole this during the chaos. Emperor himself tried to stop me. Didn't take." Riddick's tone remained flat, matter of fact. "Would have killed him, but Sith Lords are hard to kill." Silence. Then the Rhodian spoke, voice translated through a vocoder. "This one is either truth-teller or insane." "Could be both," the woman muttered. She studied Riddick closer, taking in the scars, the predatory stillness, the eyes that didn't look quite human. "What were you before Exegol?" "Prisoner. Before that, pilot. Before that, soldier. Spent most of my life in one slam or another." Riddick met her gaze without flinching. "Your galaxy, my galaxy, doesn't matter. Prisons are prisons, and I'm good at leaving them." The older man stepped forward, extending his cybernetic hand. "Name's Kale Vorin. This is Sarah." He indicated the woman. "We run salvage operations out of Braca, this world. If your story's true, you've made enemies of the most dangerous organization in the galaxy. Not the first time. The Sith Eternal has reach, resources. They'll hunt you across every system, every planet, every shadow you try to hide in." Kale's expression was grave. "You've painted a target on yourself that won't fade. So shoot me or help me." Riddick's patience was thinning. "But decide fast. The longer this ship sits here, the more time they have to track it." Sarah raised her rifle again. "How do we know you're not leading them here?" "That ship probably has a dozen tracking devices." "Already found one, crushed it, ran diagnostics during the jump. Ship's clean." Riddick gestured toward the infiltrator. "But if you want to be sure, Help me strip it. Take what's valuable. Scuttle the rest. I just need fuel, coordinates to civilized space, and supplies." Kale considered this. His crew watched him, waiting for the call. Finally, he nodded. "We'll help, but you work with us, not against us. And when the Eternal come looking, because they will, you're on your own." Fair. Over the next 6 hours, Riddick learned more about the galaxy he'd landed in than 3 months of imprisonment had taught him. Bracca was a junker world, home to scavengers who dismantled old ships for profit. Kale's crew operated independently, salvaging everything from Republic-era cruisers to separatist droid foundries. They sold to the Resistance First Order criminal syndicates, anyone with credits and no questions. The galaxy was at war. First Order versus Resistance, totalitarianism versus freedom, a conflict that echoed the Empire versus Rebellion from decades prior. And beneath that war, the Sith Eternal waited on Exegol, building their Final Order fleet in secret, preparing to emerge and crush everyone. Riddick helped dismantle the Infiltrator's most valuable components: hyperdrive core, shield generators, weapons systems. Sarah supervised, her initial hostility replaced by grudging professionalism. She watched him work with fury and strength, tearing through durasteel without power tools, and asked the question others were thinking. What are you really? Enhanced human? Failed Sith experiment? Furian. Riddick didn't elaborate. Never heard of it. Different galaxy, long story, short version. My people were adapt or die survivors. The ones who lived developed certain advantages. He tapped the corner of his eye. See in the dark, heal fast, fight harder, the usual. The usual, Sarah repeated, voice dry. Right. They worked in silence after that, stripping the ship to its bones. By the time they finished, the Infiltrator was gutted, a hollow shell worth nothing except scrap metal. Kale arranged for its disposal, pushing the wreckage toward Bracca's acid pools, where it would dissolve to components. In exchange, Riddick received supplies, rations, medkits, a functional data pad with galactic charts, and coordinates to 3 independent worlds where questions weren't asked, plus a warning. The Sith Eternal will send hunters, Kyle said, as Riddick prepared to leave aboard a small shuttle Sarah's crew had repaired. Inquisitors, assassins, creatures that make nightmares look tame. You need to disappear better than you've ever disappeared before. I'll manage. One more thing. Kyle pulled a small device from his jacket, a hollow communicator. You help us, we help you. Resistance could use someone with your skills, and if the Eternal are hunting you anyway, might as well make it count. Riddick took the communicator, not a joiner. Noted, but the offer stands. Galaxy's a big place, but the darkness is bigger. Sometimes even lone wolves need a pack. Riddick pocketed the device without committing. He'd heard recruitment pitches before, armies, mercenary companies, criminal organizations. They all wanted to use him. Point him at enemies and pull the trigger. The Sith Eternal had tried it directly. Kale was subtler, but the principle was the same. Still, the Resistance was fighting totalitarianism. That resonated. Riddick had spent too much time in prisons built by authoritarians, too many years running from fascists in uniforms. If the First Order won, the galaxy would become one massive slam, and if the Sith Eternal emerged from Exegol, it would be even worse. He didn't owe this galaxy anything, but he owed the Sith Eternal payback. Riddick boarded the shuttle, ran pre-flight, and lifted off. Braca fell away below, scrapyards and acid pools, salvage crews tearing apart the past to survive the present. The planet's automated defenses tracked his departure but didn't fire. Kale had transmitted clearance codes. As Riddick broke orbit, his sensors detected something. Far out system, near the edge of sensor range. 3 contacts jumping in, Sith configurations, moving with purpose toward Braca. They'd found him. Riddick punched coordinates into the nav computer, one of the independent worlds Kale had provided, and jumped to hyperspace. Behind him, the Sith Eternal ships would arrive at Braca, question Kale's crew, search the scrapyards. They might find the infiltrators' remains, might not. Either way, they'd know Riddick had been there, would know he was still free. The hunt was on. The shuttle's hyperspace journey lasted 4 hours. Riddick used the time to study the datapad, memorizing star charts, faction territories, and galactic politics. The First Order controlled the core worlds through fear and military might. The Resistance operated from hidden bases, fighting guerrilla warfare. The Hutts still ran criminal empires in the Outer Rim, and everywhere whispers of the Sith Eternal circulated. Dark rumors about Exegol, about the Emperor's return, about a fleet that would soon emerge and end all opposition. Riddick knew those rumors were true. He'd seen the fleet, had stood before Palpatine himself, and survived. That made him valuable to anyone opposing the Sith. It also made him a target. The shuttle dropped out of hyperspace above Nar Shaddaa, the smuggler's moon, a vertical city planet where crime was commerce and nobody asked inconvenient questions. Perfect place to disappear. Riddick descended through traffic lanes choked with freighters, speeders, and vessels, even more battered than his shuttle. He landed at a public dock, paid the fees in untraceable credits Kale had provided, and walked into the neon-lit chaos. Nar Shaddaa was sensory overload. Languages from 1,000 species, music from cantinas, the smell of street food, and industrial waste mixing into something almost toxic. Advertisements holo-projected across buildings. Criminals and civilians moved through crowds, indistinguishable. Riddick pulled his hood up and blended in. He had 3 priorities: find work, stay hidden, and figure out his next move. The holocommunicator in his pocket felt heavy. Kale's offer: join the Resistance, fight the Eternal on terms that mattered. Riddick had never been a hero, never pretended to be one. He survived. That was his gift, but the Emperor's words echoed in his mind. You will serve, willingly or unwillingly. Palpatine thought Riddick was a tool, a weapon to be aimed and fired. The Sith Eternal thought they could break him, reshape him, turn him into one of their hunters. They were wrong. Riddick walked deeper into Nar Shaddaa's underworld, silver eyes scanning for opportunities and threats in equal measure. The Sith Eternal would come. They always did. Hunters with lightsabers and dark side powers. Assassins trained to kill Force sensitives and hardened targets. They'd track him across systems, through space lanes, into every shadow he tried to hide in. Let them come. He'd faced worse, survived worse, killed worse. The galaxy was big enough to disappear in, dark enough to thrive in, and if the Eternal wanted to find him, they'd learn the same lesson countless others had learned. In the dark, Riddick wasn't prey, he was apex. 6 weeks on Nar Shaddaa taught Riddick 3 things. The galaxy's criminal underworld ran on credits and fear in equal measure. His Furian abilities made him valuable to the wrong people, and the Sith Eternal's reach extended farther than he'd anticipated. He took work where he found it: bodyguard jobs for Hutt enforcers, bounty retrieval for independent operators who didn't ask questions. One memorable contract involved extracting a Twi'lek information broker from a Black Sun holding facility. 3 stories of hardened criminals and automated defenses that hadn't counted on someone who could see perfectly in their deliberately darkened corridors. Riddick walked out with the broker and a reputation. Word spread. The human with silver eyes who worked alone could find anyone in the dark, didn't talk much, but delivered results. By week 4, he had steady income. By week 5, he had contacts across 3 districts. By week 6, he had the Eternals' attention. The attack came in a cantina called the Rusty Spire, mid-level establishment where smugglers and bounty hunters traded information over drinks that could strip paint. Riddick sat in the back corner, his usual position, watching the crowd. His danger sense had been prickling all evening. Not immediate threat, but something building. Pressure in the air like a storm waiting to break. The door opened. 3 figures entered. Human, wearing dark robes that marked them as acolytes even without the lightsabers on their belts. They scanned the room with purpose, looking, hunting, looking for him. Riddick was already moving. He left credits on the table, slipped through the service entrance, and emerged into an alley choked with garbage and broken droids. The acolytes wouldn't be alone. They never were. Standard eternal hunting pattern, visible element to flush the target, concealed element to catch them running. He sensed the ambush before seeing it. 4 more acolytes emerging from shadows at both alley ends. Lightsabers ignited, crimson blades humming. The leader stepped forward, face hidden behind a featureless mask. Prisoner 33. Lord Sidious offers amnesty. Return to Exegol, submit to reconditioning, serve the Eternal, and live. The voice was mechanically distorted, emotionless. Refuse and die here. Riddick's response was a blaster bolt between the leader's eyes. The acolyte's head snapped back, mask shattering, body collapsing. The others attacked immediately. Lightsabers carved through the air. Red streaks in the darkness. Riddick moved like water, using his enhanced reflexes to stay ahead of the blades. A strike came from his left. He caught the acolyte's wrist, twisted, felt bone snap, and took the lightsaber. He didn't try to wield it against the others, instead throwing it like a spear into another acolyte's chest. The blade punched through, momentum carrying the dying cultist backward into a wall. 5 left. They coordinated better now, wary after losing 2 in seconds. Riddick drew his knife, proper Beskar blade he'd acquired from a Mandalorian arms dealer, and engaged. Close quarters, his environment. The acolytes were trained in lightsaber combat, but Riddick fought dirty. Throat strikes, eye gouges, broken knees. He used their own weapons against them, redirecting blade strikes into their allies, creating chaos from their coordination. Another acolyte fell, bisected by his comrade's misdirected swing. Another took Riddick's knife in the throat, choking on blood as he collapsed. The remaining 3 tried to retreat, regroup. Riddick didn't let them. He kicked one into a trash compactor, activated it, and the screams lasted 3 seconds. The last 2 ran. He let them report back to Exegol that Prisoner 33 was harder to kill than anticipated. Let the Emperor know his acolytes weren't enough. Riddick cleaned his blade and vanished into Nar Shaddaa's lower levels before local security arrived. The attack confirmed what he'd suspected. The Eternal wouldn't stop. They'd keep sending hunters, keep escalating until either he was dead or they ran out of operatives. Time to change tactics. Back in his rented room, 4 walls, 1 door, no windows, exactly how he liked it, Riddick pulled out Kale's holo communicator. The device activated at his touch, projecting a small holo form. Kale's face appeared, slightly distorted by distance. "Riddick, wasn't sure I'd hear from you. Eternal found me, sent acolytes, dealt with them, but more will come." Riddick kept his voice level. "Your offer's still open?" Kale's expression shifted, surprise, then calculation. "The Resistance could use someone with your talents, but I need to know, are you joining because you believe in the cause, or because the Eternal is hunting you?" "Does it matter?" "It does to the people who'll be fighting next to you." Riddick considered this. Honesty then. "I don't care about your Resistance or their Republic. I care about surviving. But the Eternal won't stop hunting me. And Palpatine's Final Order fleet is real. I've seen it. If that fleet launches, your Resistance dies and everyone else becomes slaves or corpses. So I have practical interest in seeing the Eternal fail." Kyle was quiet for a moment. "At least you're honest. Transmitting coordinates now. Resistance base on Ajahn Kloss. Jungle world, hard to find. Tell them I sent you. They'll have questions." "Let them ask. One more thing. General Leia Organa runs the Resistance. If anyone can understand what you're going through, it's her. She faced down the Empire, lost everything to build something better. Give her your truth and she'll give you a chance." The holocom ended. Riddick memorized the coordinates, gathered his limited possessions, and left Nar Shaddaa aboard a stolen freighter. The smuggler's moon fell away behind him, neon lights fading into the void. Ahead, the unknown regions waited, and somewhere in those tangled hyperspace lanes, a Resistance that might be his best chance at survival, or his worst mistake. The jump to Ajahn Kloss took 2 days, navigating unstable hyperspace routes and avoiding first-order patrols. When Riddick finally emerged above the jungle world, he was met by a squadron of X-Wings that locked weapons and demanded identification. He transmitted Kale's codes. The fighters escorted him down to a hidden base carved into ancient temple ruins. As his freighter landed, Riddick saw the Resistance for the first time. Maybe 300 people, pilots, soldiers, technicians. A fraction of what the First Order commanded. A rounding error compared to the Final Order fleet, waiting on Exegol. They looked tired, determined, desperate. An older woman waited at the landing pad, flanked by guards. Even without introduction, Riddick recognized her. General Leia Organa, princess, senator, rebel hero. Jedi trained, but never a Jedi. Her face showed years of fighting wars that never seemed to end. She studied him as he descended the ramp. "Cal Voren says you escaped Exegol, that you saw the Sith fleet with your own eyes. Is it true?" "Yes." "How many ships?" "Hundreds, maybe over 1,000, each one carrying a planet-killer weapon." Riddick met her gaze. "They're not ready to launch yet, but when they are, nowhere will be safe." Leia's expression tightened. "We've had reports, whispers, but confirmation from someone who's been there." She gestured toward the base. "Walk with me." They moved through the jungle, away from listening ears. Leia's guards maintained distance but kept them in sight. She spoke quietly, voice carrying weight. The First Order is crushing systems across the galaxy. We're losing, resources depleted, allies vanished. Every day we survive is a victory." She stopped, turning to face him. "If the Sith Eternal launches that fleet, everything we've fought for dies. So I'll ask you directly, why are you here?" "Palpatine tried to turn me into a weapon. I refused. Now he wants me dead or broken. The Eternal won't stop hunting me, so I need them dead first." Riddick's tone was matter of fact. "You're fighting them. I fight better when I'm not running? That's practical, but can you follow orders? Work with a team? Trust people you don't know?" Leia's eyes were sharp. "Because the Resistance isn't a place for lone wolves. I've worked with teams. Usually ends badly, but I'll follow orders if they make sense." He paused. "And I know things about Exegol, the prison, the Citadel, the Emperor's capabilities, information worth having." Leia considered this. "There's a mission, high risk. We need someone to infiltrate a First Order facility and retrieve intelligence on Exegol's exact location. Most of our operatives are known to their security, but you..." She studied his appearance. "You're unknown, dangerous, perfect for this." "What's the facility?" "Star Destroyer Finalizer, currently docked at Quat Drive Yards for refit. Intelligence suggests they have updated nav data from Sith Eternal scouts. We need that data." Leia's expression was grim. "It's a one-way mission for most people. But Kale says you're good at escaping impossible situations." Riddick smiled. "Predatory, showing teeth. Specialty of mine." The mission briefing happened 3 hours later. Riddick stood in the Resistance Command Center, converted temple chamber with holographic displays showing the galaxy's political situation, and listened as a tactical officer named Connix outlined the plan. The Finalizer was massive. Resurgent-class Star Destroyer, crew of 55,000 carrying a legion of stormtroopers and 2 full TIE fighter wings. It was currently in dry dock at Quat, undergoing weapons upgrades. Security was heightened but not impenetrable. The intelligence they needed was stored in the ship's primary data core, accessible only from the main bridge. Riddick would infiltrate as a maintenance contractor, make his way to the bridge during a scheduled shift change, access the data core, and extract before alarms triggered. Simple in theory, suicidal in practice. "You'll have support," Connix explained. "Resistance agents inside Kiwat will provide equipment and extraction coordinates. But once you're on that ship, you're alone." "Understood." Riddick studied the ship's schematics. "What about power distribution? Can I cut main lighting?" Connix blinked. "Theoretically, yes. Emergency generators would engage, but there'd be a 30-second delay. That's all I need." They provided him with forged credentials, First Order uniform, and a micro-transmitter for data extraction. No weapons. He'd have to acquire those aboard. Riddick memorized the ship's layout, practiced his cover story, and prepared mentally for the infiltration. Leia visited him the night before departure. "You don't have to do this. We could find another way." "No, you couldn't." Riddick was cleaning his blade, the one personal item he'd insisted on keeping. "You need this intel, and I'm best positioned to get it. Besides," he met her eyes, "I have a score to settle with the Eternal. This gets me closer. Just remember, you're not alone in this fight anymore. The Resistance has your back." She placed a hand on his shoulder briefly. "May the Force be with you." Riddick didn't believe in the Force. believed in steel, speed, and survival instinct. But he nodded anyway. The infiltration began at dawn. A stolen First Order shuttle delivered Riddick to Kuat Drive Yards, massive orbital shipyard where star destroyers were built and maintained. He docked without incident, his forged credentials passing automated security. The finalizer loomed ahead, a wedge of gray durasteel bristling with weapons batteries. Riddick boarded with a work crew, carrying a toolkit and wearing a maintenance tech uniform. Stormtroopers checked IDs but waved him through. Inside, the Star Destroyer was all harsh lighting and military efficiency. He followed his crew to the engineering decks, then split off during a corridor transition. Now the real work began. He navigated by memory, avoiding patrols, using maintenance shafts and service corridors. His Furian senses tracked vibrations, sounds, the subtle changes in air pressure that indicated approaching personnel. Twice he hid in ventilation ducts as stormtrooper patrols passed beneath. Once he had to knock out an officer who stumbled onto his position, quick, silent, the body hidden in a supply closet. The bridge was 18 decks up. Riddick climbed through the ship's skeleton, moving through spaces most crew never saw. By hour 3, he reached the command deck. By hour 4, he was outside the bridge. Security was heavier here. 6 stormtroopers, 2 officers scanning equipment at the entrance. Riddick waited in the shadows, counting shifts, learning patterns. At 0600 hours, shift change occurred. For 90 seconds, personnel rotated, chaos, opportunity. Riddick moved during the confusion, blending with departing crew. He reached a terminal alcove adjacent to the bridge and accessed the power grid. His fingers flew over controls, rerouting power flow, preparing to cut main lighting on command. A stormtrooper noticed him. "Hey, you're not authorized." Riddick triggered the power cut. Darkness swallowed the command deck. Emergency lights hadn't engaged yet. 30 seconds of total blackness. Riddick's element. His eyes adjusted instantly. The stormtroopers fumbled, blinded, shouting into comms. Riddick moved through them like a ghost, knife finding gaps in armor, dropping bodies silently. Officers scrambled for sidearms. He disarmed one, shot another, and reached the bridge entrance before emergency power kicked in. Red lights flooded the deck. Alarms shrieked. Riddick was already inside the bridge, moving toward the datacore terminal. Officers drew weapons. He shot 3 before they could fire, then sprinted to the terminal and inserted the resistance microtransmitter. Data began downloading. 20 seconds. Riddick defended the position, firing at approaching security. Stormtroopers poured through the entrance. He threw a corpse into their formation, disrupting their advance, and dropped 2 more with headshots. 15 seconds. The bridge's blast doors started closing, lockdown protocol. If he got trapped, extraction became impossible. 10 seconds. A stormtrooper captain in chrome armor emerged, firing a heavy blaster. Bolts scorched the terminal. Riddick dove left, returned fire, clipped the captain's shoulder. More troopers flooded in. 5 seconds. The microtransmitter beeped. Download complete. Riddick ripped it free and ran for the blast doors. They were closing fast, gap narrowing. He dove through with centimeters to spare, hit the corridor rolling, and came up running. Behind him, the bridge erupted with activity. Ahead, stormtroopers responded to the alarm. Riddick was trapped between forces, deep inside a ship carrying 55,000 hostiles. Time to improvise. He found an emergency airlock, activated it, and stepped into the decompression chamber. Stormtroopers reached the door as it sealed. They pounded on it, tried to override. Riddick opened the outer door. Explosive decompression hurled him into space. Quat's orbital shipyard rushed past in a blur of metal and lights. Riddick tumbled end over end. No suit, no oxygen, pure vacuum. Furion biology bought him maybe 90 seconds before brain death. He had to find the extraction point in that window. There, a Resistance U-wing hovering 200 meters away, boarding ramp extended. But he was drifting the wrong direction, momentum carrying him past the ship. Riddick grabbed a piece of debris, hull plating torn loose during his explosive exit, and threw it as hard as Furion's strength allowed. The reaction pushed him toward the U-wing. 70 seconds, he collided with the ramp, grabbed a handhold and pulled himself inside. The U-wing's inner door sealed. Atmosphere rushed in. Riddick gasped, lungs burning, vision clearing. The pilot, young woman human, eyes wide with shock, stared at him. "You're insane! Nobody survives vacuum exposure." "Not human." Riddick handed her the micro-transmitter. "Tell General Organa I got the data and I'm going back to Exegol." "What? Why?" "Because Palpatine made it personal." The U-wing jumped to hyperspace, leaving Quat and the finalizer behind. Riddick sat in the crew compartment recovering from vacuum exposure and thought about what came next. He had information the Resistance needed, had proven his value, but the mission had confirmed something. Fighting defensively, reacting to eternal attacks, wouldn't work. He needed to take the fight to them, needed to hurt them where they felt secure, needed to return to Exegol and finish what he started. The U-wing emerged at Ajan Kloss 6 hours later. Leia met him at the landing pad, reading the downloaded data on a datapad. Her expression was grave. "This is it. Exact coordinates to Exegol, fleet composition, launch timeline." She looked up. "With this, we can plan a strike. Stop the final order before it emerges." "Then plan it fast," Riddick said, "because I am going with you." Leia studied him. "You've done enough. No one would question if you disappeared after this." "The Emperor offered me power, service, a place in his eternal darkness." Riddick's silver eyes caught the jungle's light. "I'm going to show him what darkness really looks like." And in the shadows of Ajan Kloss's ancient temples, surrounded by people who fought for hope when hope seemed impossible, Richard B. Riddick made a choice. Not for ideology, not for heroism, but for the simple, brutal principle that had kept him alive through countless slams. Nobody puts Riddick in a cage twice. Conclusion: the Resistance planned their assault on Exegol with the precision of those who knew they had one chance. Leia coordinated with allies scattered across the galaxy, smugglers, independent systems, former Imperial officers who'd grown disgusted with tyranny. They gathered a fleet, small compared to the Final Order, pathetic compared to the Sith Eternals armada, but determined. Riddick spent 2 weeks training Resistance commandos in infiltration techniques, teaching them how to move through darkness, fight dirty, exploit enemy weaknesses. Some learned, most struggled. They were too used to fighting honorably, relying on hope and heroism. Riddick taught ruthlessness. When the day came, he stood in the Millennium Falcon's cargo hold, legendary ship now serving as command vessel for the desperate assault, and watched hyperspace stream past. Around the Falcon, dozens of ships followed, X-wings, Y-wings, cruisers barely holding together, freighters armed with whatever weapons could be bolted on. They emerged above Exegol into lightning and madness. The Sith fleet hung in orbit, ready to launch. Thousands of star destroyers, each one a planet killer. TIE daggers swarmed like insects. Sith interceptors engaged the resistant ships immediately. The battle was brutal, lopsided, seemingly hopeless, but Riddick wasn't there to fight the fleet. While the main assault distracted the Eternal's forces, Riddick piloted a stealth shuttle toward Exegol's surface. His mission was surgical: reach the Citadel, sabotage the fleet's central coordination system, give the Resistance a fighting chance. 10 commandos accompanied him, best fighters Leia could spare. They descended through storms and anti-aircraft fire, landing in the same hangar Riddick had escaped from weeks ago. The Citadel remembered him. Alarms triggered immediately. Sith troopers converged. But Riddick knew this fortress now, had mapped its corridors during his imprisonment and escape. He led the commandos deep into the structure, fighting through acolytes and cultists, leaving bodies in their wake. They reached the coordination center, massive chamber housing the network that synchronized the Final Order fleet. Riddick planted charges while commandos defended the position. Sith Eternal forces threw everything at them. Half the commandos died buying time. The survivors retreated as charges armed. In the throne room above, Palpatine felt the sabotage, felt Riddick's presence, and for the first time since his resurrection, the Emperor experienced something unfamiliar: concern. The charges detonated, the coordination center exploded, sending cascading failures through the fleet's systems. Star destroyers lost synchronization. Some fired on each other, others drifted control systems offline. The Sith Eternal's perfect armada descended into chaos, and in that chaos, the Resistance struck. Riddick didn't witness the fleet's destruction. He was fighting through the Citadel's collapsing corridors, Sith forces hunting him, trying to reach his shuttle. An acolyte ambushed him, skilled, fast, nearly took his head. Riddick killed her with her own lightsaber and kept running. More cultists blocked his path. He went through them like they were paper. The shuttle waited, engines hot. 3 commandos had survived. They lifted off as the Citadel crumbled, fires consuming Sith architecture that had stood for generations. Behind them, Exegol burned. Above, the Resistance fleet pressed their advantage. Without coordination, the Sith destroyers fell one by one. The Final Order, Palpatine's ultimate weapon, died before it could be born. The Emperor himself survived, retreating into the Citadel's deepest chambers. But his fleet was gone, his eternal forces scattered, his grand design shattered, and Riddick, escaped prisoner turned saboteur, had driven the blade. The journey back to Ajan Kloss was quiet. Riddick sat alone in the shuttle's cargo bay, exhausted, wounded, alive. The commandos left him to his thoughts. When they landed, Leia was waiting with news. The Sith fleet was destroyed. The Final Order eliminated. Palpatine's threat ended. The galaxy had a chance. She offered Riddick formal recognition, medal, rank, place in the Resistance command structure. He declined all of it. What he wanted was simple: a ship, supplies, and coordinates to worlds where the Sith Eternal's reach didn't extend. "You're leaving," Leia said, not a question. "Staying makes me predictable. Predictable gets you killed." Riddick checked his gear. "Besides, Palpatine's still alive. The Eternal will rebuild. They'll hunt me again eventually. Let them hunt. You've earned the right to stop running." "Not running, just moving." He met her eyes. "Difference is, Now I'm moving on my terms." Leia smiled sadly. "May the Force be with you, Riddick. And you, General." He left Ajon Kloss at dawn, piloting a nondescript freighter toward the Outer Rim. Behind him, the Resistance celebrated their impossible victory. Ahead, a galaxy still torn by conflict, still harboring threats, still offering corners dark enough for a Furion to disappear into. But Riddick wasn't disappearing, not anymore. He'd tasted freedom earned through defiance, had shattered a prison designed to break him, had faced the galaxy's darkest power and walked away. The Sith Eternal would regroup, send hunters, try again to cage or kill him. Let them try, because Richard B. Riddick had learned something during his time in this strange galaxy. Darkness was everywhere, in prison cells, in Sith citadels, in the hearts of those who sought power through suffering. But darkness was also freedom, sanctuary, home, and in the deepest dark where light feared to go, Riddick would be waiting, not as a prisoner, as the predator he'd always been. The freighter jumped to hyperspace, leaving the war behind. Somewhere in the unknown regions, on a forgotten world lit by dying stars, Riddick would find his next fight, his next escape, his next victory against those who thought chains could hold him. The Sith Eternal had made a critical mistake. They'd tried to weaponize him. Now they'd spend years learning why that was impossible. Across the galaxy, or in the ruins of Exegol's citadel, Emperor Palpatine sensed Riddick's departure. The creature who had sabotaged his fleet, killed his servants, defied his power. The Furion would be hunted, tracked across systems, eliminated, or so the Emperor believed. But in the dark spaces between stars, where no light penetrated and death was the only certainty, a different truth waited. Some prisoners don't break. They escape, and they never forget.